no place like the Cube.
Queer news, queer news, queer news.
Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. This is your number one stop for queer news done right, only on E3 Radio.
I was thinking about raising our child, and I was like, they're going to see all this media and so nervous that they're going to be like, dads, I don't see y'all in the books we read at school and the Disney movies I'm watching. And I was thinking, I wish that there was more representation and our story was told more. And we just wanted to put that out there and start that do our little part to add that story to the world.
Now, do I have some Pentatonics fans out there? Christmas season is coming up, okay? Well, that was Scott Hoying of Pentatonics, and our podcast contributor, Benji Coy, got to interview him and his husband, Mark, not only about being dads, but their new book, Fa La La Family. Now, we all know we need more book representation, especially in the face of all the book bans our community has gone through over the last few years. And this book is out now, right in time to be a great Christmas gift, okay? A link to the interview and to buy the book are in the show notes. QCrew, what's going on? I can't say thank you enough for your continued commitment to helping us sustain this podcast. Truly, you have to cover the cost of our editor, Ryan, who quite literally I wouldn't want to do this podcast without. So if you believe in the work we do, if you believe LGBTQ stories need to be amplified, if you love and respect how I report on the news and tell our stories, join the QCrew today. Family, make it a Christmas gift to me, okay? It starts as low as $5 a month, and a link to join is in the show notes. Now, I don't want you all to forget about our Queer News tip line, okay? It's where you can leave me a voicemail, tell me about a local news story, tell me about a queer song that you heard that was fire, okay? Tell me about a queer organization doing amazing work that needs some donations or amplification. I love hearing about it all, so drop me a voicemail. Come on. Info on how to submit is where? Y'all already know it's in the show notes. Now for the news. Our top story is an update on the Supreme Court's decision to toss out Kim Davis's appeal. And I take a closer look at another case the Supreme Court has decided to hear on the future of our trans siblings in sports. In politics, I also talk about this Texas-issued partial drag performance ban that was recently issued. Child, I'm so tired of them. Why can't they just leave us alone? But I digress, okay? In culture and entertainment, we recognize Transgender Awareness Week while highlighting the Trans Journalists Association, a new series from PFLAG, and some data that really helps to put things in perspective from the Trevor Project. Also, the director of Balmain steps down, and Grammy nominations have been released, child, and the queers are on the list. Let's get into it. Family, as you all know, last week I had to interrupt our scheduled episode because breaking news came in as we were in the middle of editing. The news that the Supreme Court decided to toss out Kim Davis's appeal was so unexpected, at least to me, and such great news that we had to rework the edit. I didn't have time to go into depth last week, so I wanted to take some time during this week's episode to just talk about what this decision really means. Well, essentially, Kim Davis's decade-long fight to get Obergefell versus Hodges thrown out is over. Her fight is over. Can you believe it's been 10 years? 10 years since we learned who in the world Kim Davis was. 10 years of her riding the conservative PR train, the conservative money train, standing on her religious liberty. Well, the legal ride for her is over. There is no higher court than the Supreme one, okay? This also means the rulings of the lower courts will stand. That means she's ordered to pay just over $360,000 to a couple she denied a marriage license to, right? following the historic 2015 ruling. This is something to celebrate, and I mean celebrate. I hope you took that time this past week to really be filled with joy about this win, the wins of the November 4th elections. I really hope you did. Family, we just can't keep fighting without celebrating when we do win. We can't always just keep looking forward, okay? Right-wing politics made Kim Davis a poster child of religious liberty, and they lost. They took an L on this one, even with a conservative-leaning Supreme Court. I mean, I really can't believe it. This is the same Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. And so I love when they lose, okay? Don't you? Let's be very clear. After we celebrate, we definitely got to get back to work, right? Because they aren't done challenging marriage equality. We know that for sure. As Kim Davis's attorney, Matt Staver, said, Liberty Counsel will continue to challenge Obergefell v. Hodges. We have been working with many state lawmakers to set up direct challenges to Obergefell. Later this month, I will be meeting with lawmakers from a majority of the states to continue our challenge strategy. Liberty Counsel will continue to pursue future cases with the goal of overturning Obergefell. He went on to say, now we move to phase 2, where other individuals, states, and local governments assert their rights to religious liberty and the 10th Amendment. The days of Obergefell are numbered. It is not a matter of if, but when Obergefell will be overturned. That day will surely come. This is the energy that they're giving, family. Always, okay? So when we win, okay, we must celebrate and rub their faces in it. And I mean that with all the love in my heart. And then we get back in the fight because they won't stop fighting. They won't. And the fights continue. Even though the Supreme Court decided not to hear this particular case, they have decided to hear others that will impact us, right? We know they're going to take on the Cheles versus Salazar case on whether conversion therapy is legally okay to practice. I can't even believe we're still having that conversation. And we've previously reported on the cases of West Virginia versus BPJ and Little versus Hecox cases surrounding trans athletes, right? And the discrimination faced at collegiate levels in their respective sports. The states at the center of those cases, West Virginia and Idaho, both have laws that restrict trans girls' participation in school sports. The Supreme Court has decided to hear oral arguments for these cases at the start of the year. January 13th, 2026 is when those cases will start. Should the court rule in favor of those states, there's a concern, a real concern, that this could set a precedent for even more discrimination against our trans siblings. ACLU Communications Director Jillian Brandsetter voiced similar concerns. Here's what she had to say. What we don't know and won't know until that ruling is handed down is whether the ruling will be narrowly tailored to the context of athletes or implicate a broad range of rights for transgender people. Family, continuing the discussion of potential bans on trans athletes, the International Olympics Committee is currently in talks about a potential ban. This has been a snowball effect from the White House and their anti-trans policies that are now being rolled down across the country and even into Olympic competition. Even though the Olympics have historically stood by trans athletes because the science tells us. Family, I tell y'all this every time I report on a story like this. The science tells us that our trans siblings, once they've been on hormone therapy, child, they have no advantages. There are no advantages. Either you good or you're not. But family, as things stand, the Supreme Court's hearing of West Virginia versus BPJ and Little versus Hecox could have a massive domino effect on transgender rights. So y'all already know, we're going to keep following these cases as they develop. And we're going to celebrate the wins, okay, as they get handed down. I ain't never going to miss an opportunity to celebrate in the face of the right losing and taking a big ol' L. For a little more in politics, a federal appeals court has ruled that the state of Texas can revisit a ruling made in 2023 that overturned the drag ban in the vicinity of people under 18 or if the performance is considered sexually oriented. These people are so exhausting. These political battles and legal battles are so exhausting. The U.S. Fifth Circuit Court has reversed the ruling on Senate Bill 12 just last week. The bill describes bannable performances with language such as performances that feature actual contact or simulated contact or include buttocks and breasts or any part of your genitalias. I mean, this is actually written, okay? So let me give y'all a rundown of events, right? So Governor Greg Abbott in 2023 made it a crime to host or perform, quote, sexually oriented performances in public or in the presence of minors. This was intentionally meant to ban drag performances, okay? Then in September 2023, a U.S. District Judge, David Hittner, struck it down, Senate Bill 12, as unconstitutional. He said it's a restriction on free speech. And at the time, he wrote that the statute impermissibly infringes on the First Amendment and chills free expression, noting its vague language could criminalize everything from drag story hours to theater performances. From where I stand, Judge David Hittner had it right, okay? But Republicans are well-funded. The conservative movement has endless amount of money for these legal battles. So Greg Abbott signs a bill. Left-leaning legal advocates, right, challenge the bill. End up with a judge who agrees, right? He overturns it. Then the conservative right appeals that, and then that's when it went to the Fifth Circuit. This is where we are now. They disagreed with Judge Hittner. They said, no way, absolutely not, right? So they ruled in favor of Greg Abbott, with the majority writing, quote, none of the trial evidence indicates that the performances are, quote, in some sense erotic, and concluded that most plaintiffs failed to prove their events were, quote, arguably proscribed under the law. Okay, so now what? Now we're back to a very vague law that opens up room for legal discrimination against all drag performers, regardless of their show's content. Venus's is a place that holds these performances, and if they go against this Senate Bill 12, they can face fines up to $10,000. And performers themselves could face a grade A misdemeanor if found guilty. For a drag performance, the ACLU of Texas released a statement portraying just how devastating this ruling is. They said, "We are devastated by this setback, but we are not defeated. Together, we will keep advocating for a Texas where everyone, including drag artists and LGBTQI+ people, can live freely, authentically, and without fear. The First Amendment protects all artistic expression, including drag. We will not stop until this unconstitutional law is struck down for good." Groups such as ACLU Texas and the Texas Civil Rights Project actively fought against this in 2023, and they'll continue to fight against this reversal because it's going back to Houston now. Chile. I'm telling you, these legal battles are exhausting, but we got to keep fighting because they're going to keep fighting. And so here we are. I think now is a great time to take a quick break, yeah? And when we get back, we'll get into some culture and entertainment. If you're listening to this, it means we didn't sell this ad space. If you're listening to this, it means running ads on our podcast can actually work. You see what I did there? Do you need some promo? A little amplification? Hit us up at info@e3radio.fm. That's info@e3radio.fm. We have a platform. You should use it. Did you know we had a newsletter? Yes, the Queer News Podcast has a weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday. There's a special newsletter for the QCrew, but there's a free newsletter for absolutely everybody. So if you want to stay in the know about what I got going on, what I got to say unfiltered, and just a list of all the stories covered every single week with time codes, Yo, you gotta subscribe to the newsletter. A link to subscribe is in the show notes. Family, welcome back to the show. Now let's get into some culture and entertainment. In culture, we've been celebrating our trans siblings all week for Transgender Awareness Week. It began on November 13th and goes through November 19th. Then immediately following the week, on November 20th, we remember our trans siblings we've lost to anti-trans violence this year on Transgender Day of Remembrance. And let me tell you, my timeline has been full of beautiful stories, beautiful tributes, and facts about our trans siblings and how our allies and comrades can show up in this time. Take a listen to this.
I could feel how I felt my child. I had the ability to really, truly affirm and support him. And I wasn't taking the opportunity to do that. And I knew that's not the type of parent I was supposed to be. When he told me that he knew that too, it was my bitter pill to swallow because I saw his identity as a threat.
Now that voice was Dee Dee, and she told her story to PFLAG, parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays. In September, PFLAG launched a 5-part series called I Changed My Mind, a series that shines a light on personal journeys of growth, courage, and change. Each short film profiles a unique intersectional experience across race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, faith, and geography. The film they dropped in October really hits home as we celebrate Transgender Awareness Week. In this 11-minute video featuring Dee Dee, a single mother who has always wanted to do right by her kid, when they came out as trans, she tried to do everything in her power to affirm her child's gender identity. But deep down, when she was really being honest with herself, she was quietly hoping it was all just a phase. And so in the episode, Dee Dee shares her story of how a group of trans men helped her change her mind about what support looks like and how she can show up as a mother, an ally, and a supporter. It's really a beautiful story, and you should take some time to watch it, okay? I, of course, included a link in the show notes for you to not only watch it, but share it with a friend. I'm sure you may know someone going through something similar, and Dee Dee was honest enough to share her story, and I think it's worth you watching. I also want to share a resource with you, okay? The Trans Journalists Association. This is about Awareness Week, okay? And I want y'all to be aware that there is a Trans Journalists Association. And our good friend of this here podcast, Tre'vell Anderson, leads this organization. And Tre'vell is an award-winning journalist, noted podcast host, okay, and authoress doing world-changing work around society and culture. They just dropped a piece about Miss Major on them.us. I'm going to include a link to that in the show notes as well. Please read it. Tre'vell is amazing. And the Trans Journalists Association, they have a style guide. They got ways to reach their network, to advertise to their members, or to post a job. They're dropping the latest news from members of the association. And at the heart of it, they are about promoting more accurate, nuanced coverage of trans issues and communities in the media, supporting gender-expansive journalists in their workplaces and careers. This is so important. I'm so glad Tre'vell is doing this work, and this is an organization we need to be supporting. And I'm not done yet, okay? I saw this great post by the Trevor Project, and I wanted to share some facts with you, okay? Because in 2024, they did a U.S. national survey, okay? And over half, family of LGBTQ plus youth identified as trans or non-binary. I want you to take it in. The young people, the next generation, okay? The future of this movement, over half identify as trans or non-binary. Think about the impacts of this anti-trans movement on them and their bodies. The harm is very real. 46% of trans and non-binary youth reported seriously considering taking their own lives in 2024. 59% reported symptoms of depression. And I'm sharing this data because I want y'all to know the impacts that the politics of today is having on our young people, the future, right? That is incredibly bright. They are so intelligent. They are so self-aware about who they are. And politics has not caught up with the culture. Trans youth who reported living in highly accepting communities were less than half as likely to attempt to take their own life compared to those who are living in unaccepting communities. So how are you creating space for these young people to be exactly who they are? How are you doing that every single day? Especially as it pertains to trans youth of color. Because according to their data, LGBTQ youth of color reported higher rates of suicidal ideation than their white peers. Family, we have got to take care of our young people, okay? And if you're listening to this and you consider yourself an ally, here are some things the Trevor Project says you can do. Center trans and non-binary voices, respect names and pronouns, speak up when harm happens, make space in schools, homes, and community spaces, fund and follow trans-led organizations. I promise doing a little bit can go a long way, okay? We celebrate our trans siblings here on the Queer News Podcast every single day. I love y'all. Family, for more culture and entertainment, let's talk about Oliver. Known to the world as the director of Balmain, has decided to step down. In a statement on his Instagram post, he announced his exit with heartfelt words. He said, "I arrived at 24 with my eyes wide open and the determination to persevere, always. Today, I leave the house of Balmain with my eyes still wide open to the future and to the beautiful adventures ahead, adventures in which all of you will have a place, a new era, a new beginning, a new story. Thank you." A representative from Balmain says that the brand and Oliver mutually agreed to part ways. Oliver got his start at the young age of 24 and quickly worked his way to the title of creative director, thanks in part to his captivating designs. His designs were known to feature waist-clenching belts and skin-tight silhouettes and extravagant beading and embroidery. He's worked with many celebrities such as the Kardashians, Gigi Hadid, and collaborated with brands like Victoria's Secret and H&M. In 2020, he suffered a traumatic injury as a result of a house fire, but that didn't keep him down as Oliver went on to launch Balmain Beauty in 2022. Oliver served as the creative director for the fashion brand for 14 years, worked for the brand for a total of 16, and was the first Black designer to lead a French luxury house. His creative direction will be missed, but we look forward to seeing what he'll do next, because Chile, from 24 to 38, he did his thing, okay? Can't wait to see what you do next, Oliver. And for our last story today, family, the Grammys have announced their nominations for the 2026 award ceremony just last week. And after last year's ceremony, which saw a high number of queer artists, it is clear the number of queer artists nominated this year were noticeably less. Nonetheless, it is an exciting time, okay? And we're going to celebrate our queer artists who are nominated for the highest honor in music. The nominees include Cynthia Erivo, who found out she was nominated for Best Pop Duo, Group Performance, and Best Arrangement. Doechii, Chappell Roan, and Billie Eilish were all nominated for Record of the Year, and Doechii and Billie Eilish were also nominated for Song of the Year. Kehlani has 2 nominations this year in Best R&B Performance and Best R&B Song categories. Other notable artists include Tyler, the Creator, Destin Conrad, one of my very favorites, Duran Bernard, and some members of the girl group Cat's-Eye. The 68th Grammy Award ceremony will air Sunday, February 2nd, 2026. And you know what time it is. It's time for Anna's Got a Word, because Anna's always got a word. And my word this week is shine a light on it, okay? It's the name of my new series that I'm inspired, truly inspired to produce, centering the stories of Black women, HIV, and its impact. And I wanted to share it this week as we just finished talking about Transgender Awareness Week. And this is about awareness. This is about shining a light on it. Did you know that over 50% of new HIV diagnoses are Black women? Did you know that? I know you probably didn't, because I didn't know. And when I found out, I knew I had to shine a light on it. I talked about it last year on World AIDS Day on this very podcast. And now this year on World AIDS Day, we're going to be dropping a video series, a mixed media series, a series that's going to include photography and storytelling, because I want Black women to know about PrEP. I want Black women to know about U equals U, because there's no reason on God's green earth with this level of technology and science that Black women should be leading in new diagnoses of HIV. So, family, I invite you. You are invited, okay, to attend Shine a Light on It. If you're in Chicago, I would love to see you there. It's going to take place from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Beverly Arts Center. There's a link to RSVP in the show notes, and I would love for you to join us. This exhibit is going to be impactful. I know it will be. I know it's going to bless somebody. And I hope that everyone who is there goes and tells 3 friends the facts so that we can reverse this data, this trend. We must shine a light on it. I feel like that's what I've been called to do with my work. And in this moment, Black women, HIV and its impact is the story that I want to tell. So I hope you can make it, okay? All right. Till next week. Peace.
Queer news, queer news, queer news.
If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall, and brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.